but probably figuring out what was here, because when we first got the property, of course, we knew very little about it. It was sort of a mystery building. Of course, as we got into it, it had a lot of layers to it, many, many changes, and that was even further confusing.
There was a lot of what we called above ground archaeology going on, opening walls and chasing down photographs and trying to determine just what was here and at what period in time it was here.
We had to figure out the floor plans and the chronology of the combined building, and then to know what to keep and what to remove. Once we picked the target date of 1909, that meant that in the larger picture we were going to take off part of the building and keep and restore the rest of it. We used 3 different methods for determining that. One was the photographic collection. The other one was the memory of people who were here, particularly Lloyd and David, right? And thirdly, the building itself. There were thousands of choices to be made. I think we did it pretty well.
One of the interesting aspects of this too was, there were many possible scenarios there that we could have chosen, and luckily we didn't have any money. So we had several years to think about this, which I think was a great advantage.
Yeah.
I had to crawl around in the crawl space under this building, which was my least favorite because there was only like 2 feet of clearance, and we had to go down there and sort of map out what was under there, including some tree trunks that had just been sawed off when Frank Lloyd Wright built it. When we finally made so many holes in the building that the tourists could look up in John's bathroom, that was your least favorite.
That was my least. You're exactly right. That was the worst time because my bathroom was right up here, and I didn't plan those changes. Don and Jack and others did, and eventually I got the message that it was time to move, which I did.
It's been a exciting period to live through, to actually see this thing come back to what it was, and to bring people through it and educate them about Wright and the tours and whatever. I think we've accomplished a lot just doing that, and now we're moving on to Roby House, and who knows where we go from there.
Well, I think one of the greatest satisfactions I get is that when we started out doing this, there were very few other models to follow. Frank Lloyd Wright's buildings had just begun to be acquired and restored. So, as John said, we were sort of pioneers in that, and we tried to do the right thing. And it's a great satisfaction that it became the model, really, for all of the other restorations. So, beyond just this building, I think we've made a big impact on the rest of restoration in general, and particularly Frank Lloyd Wright buildings.
When we made the master plan in the late 70s, we said we'll make the plan and then we'll stick around and execute our own plan, which we did. And it's actually, all 3 of us were, and others were involved in that. And we're, in a way, still here, still teaching and interpreting and working on, all 3 of us are on the restoration committee, which is the preservation committee as far as this building is concerned. And the building's holding up very well in terms of a restoration project, both in terms of the accuracy of the decisions that were made and the quality of the work. And the ultimate test is how well does it work for the public and for the Preservation Trust and the volunteers. And it does work very well.
The building is so exciting when it's undergoing restoration. Tour guides I know just loved it because every time they came to give a tour, they had to follow a different path because something else was being revealed or something was being put back. And of course, once it's done, we all really love the end results, but it isn't sort of an ongoing exploration that it is during the restoration. So I think one of the challenges is keeping up the same sort of level of excitement.
It would be very easy for this to become very static and maybe somewhat boring to some of us who have been around a long time. But I think the education aspect has to continue in teaching visitors and educational groups what this building is all about. And not just Frank Lloyd Wright, but architecture in general.
The more educational programs the Preservation Trust does, the more this building is in context as the origin of one of his 2 major styles and the birthplace, if you will, of the entire Prairie period, and many of the ideas that he kept through the rest of his life. And it all started right here. And that is part of the story that we tell. It's not just an architectural tour or a social history, it's the whole aspect.
I always look around and see all the little things that we never did quite get finished up, but maybe that's part of the excitement for the future, that we get to put in all these little details that at the end never got done when we were doing restoration.
People always ask us why we haven't finished the back stairway, the walls of the back stairway, and as a restoration committee, and we just haven't done it yet. We sort of like being able to tell the story of the evolution of finishes there. There's the balustrade out on the west property line and so forth. Sometimes it's nice to not finish everything. We've got a few secrets that only we know about. The other one is the number of bathrooms in the building. There seems to be a raging controversy about that. We've decided that there were between 1 and 7, or any number in between, at any point, at different points in time, so that anybody who picked one of those numbers is absolutely right.
As long as I get the right date.
Exactly.
So the quiz now is the date and the number of bathrooms at that point in time. And there's still some things that we don't know about the building, like the hooks outside the front doors of the studio that are in the ceiling. Nobody seems to know exactly what those were for. There are still stories to be told about this building.
we get to present the award to each other or something like that. So, when do we sing?
Yeah.
That's why.
3 off-key tenors. There's about 100 years of volunteerism sitting here. And of course, I started when I was a junior interpreter. These
Yeah,
guys
right.
are much older than I am. But, old joke. These could be the
Well,
outtakes.
he's sitting in the middle so he can prop him up. He's ready to fall off the stool.